This podcast is obviously live because we are processing that one.
Welcome to the D3 Discipleship Podcast, a podcast about the language and tools that help to create a culture of intentional discipleship in your church. We are excited that you're joining us today and hope that you enjoy what you hear.
Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to the D3 Discipleship Podcast. My name is Ray, and my co-host Katie Ketzner is not currently alongside me, but this is part 2 of our discipling questions, and we are excited to share with you a few more that you can use in your discipling group. If you haven't checked out part 1, I would encourage you to do so and follow along. All of the questions that we're talking about and processing together are in the show notes, so be sure to check it out. Hope you enjoy this.
Ooh, 12. Do you think there's a purpose for that?
Ooh. Do you think there's a purpose for that? This podcast is obviously live because we are processing that one. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of I try to think of real-time things that you would actually use this in.
Right.
Do you think there's a purpose for that?
Work and rest comes to mind. Do you think there is a purpose in rest? You know, because I think a lot of people blow right through rest. We don't think about resting. So, what do you think is the purpose in that? What do you think is the purpose in resting? I don't know. That was the only one that came to mind. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing really jumps out at me. But yeah. I'm sure there's time and place.
Yeah.
For all of them.
Maybe somebody's listening and they go, that's the question I needed.
Yeah.
Good for you. All right. Glad we brought it up.
Well, I don't have much to say about that one because I obviously still need to process that one a little bit more.
Right.
So number 13,
yeah.
How can that Yeah. Sorry, I was going to read the same one. How can that tragedy be used for good in your life? Ooh.
Man. That's a big one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's good.
And I like how it shifts perspective.
Right.
I feel like everyone has tragedies or traumas in their life, but let's shift the focus on woe is me.
Yep.
And this sucks to how can that be used for good?
Right.
Shift your focus to the positive and how you can help someone or, do something.
And it also points to the Lord's sovereignty and what he's doing in the moment, trying to find that even in the midst of a tragedy, right? Hey, what is the good here? What's he working on? What's he pointing us towards? Yeah.
All right. 14. What will life look like down the road if that problem is not solved? That's a double. That's the same thing.
Man.
That's the same thing as where does that lead if nothing changes?
That's true.
If the problem is not solved.
Maybe a little nicer way to put it. It's the padded version, as you said earlier. The padded version of that question.
Okay, but only maybe a teeny tiny bit more padded.
I don't know. I don't know that it deserves its own number, right?
No,
so are we down? We're down to
so.
Now 17 great discipling questions or 16 discipling questions. But anyway,
listen,
we didn't write the article. We're just picking at the people. Yeah. So
you're still getting some really good ones, though.
That's right. Oh, this next one's a good one. One. Yep.
Number 15. What's God up to in all of this?
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah. And it is one of those things. We have no idea. We have no idea what he's up to, but we can look at it and make assumptions and, all that.
It goes back to shifting perspective. Shifting the focus into, okay, God is doing something because God is always working.
Yes.
So what could that look like? Or,
right.
It gets you out of this bubble or this box that you placed yourself in.
Yep.
When you're when it's tragedy, trauma, bad things that are happening, it's so easy to crawl into a hole and just want to cry and just stay there for a little while. But
right.
like when you're able to look at the bigger picture of things,
yeah,
it helps.
Yeah. And I think, that goes with the two questions of the learning circle as well. Like, what are you hearing the Lord say and what are you doing about it? Like, what's God up to in this? Like, what are you hearing the Lord say? Because I think we often say our own things of what's happening, but it's like, okay, what's the Lord showing you? What's the Lord saying? And those don't always match up at first. So what's God up to in this? Yeah.
Number 16, does that line up with how God designed things to work? Oh,
wow.
Oh, that is definitely not padded.
Wow. Another good one. Man, jot that one down. It's close to tattoo worthy, but I don't know. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Does that line up with how God designed things to work? Yeah. Man, I think that gives you a godly, heavenly perspective, spiritual perspective. Like, is that how he wanted this thing to go? Or is it how it's designed? Yeah. Yeah. Challenges our thought with the word. Like, what does the word say? That's good too. Better be abiding because you're looking there for the answer.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. 17. How does God factor into that experience?
That's a good one. That's kind of a post.
I think all of these
I feel like that's a post moment question, right? Like that's a look back question. Like it already happened, the thing happened, but how does God factor into that experience?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you can look forward and go, how's God going to factor into this? Maybe.
I mean, unless you're currently going through it. And again, like, I think the last 3 or so have kind of been the same mentality of like looking at the bigger picture and like looking at the God factor.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
There's definitely a zoom out here. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Number 18, does faith impact how you feel about blank?
Yeah, I think, again, we can come in with a earthly perspective, right? Or an even emotional perspective. But now this is saying, does your faith impact how you feel about this? Like,
so basically, that's a arena thing, too.
Yeah. A little bit of like maybe the bank account is low, and all these things keep happening. But what does faith say about this? Well, the Lord's going to provide for you in the midst of whatever you're going through, right? And so it kind of gives you an opportunity to see the faith side and maybe even grow your faith a little bit because you're looking at it through that lens.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, we're nearing the end.
Yeah.
Number 19, does your faith change how you will move forward with this? See, some of these are kind of the same, but like when you tweak it, it kind of changes it a little bit.
Yeah, you're right.
Same thing, but different.
Yeah. Does faith impact how you feel about fill in the blank was the last one. Does your faith change how you will move forward with this?
Yeah. So a lot of these are like, how do you think about this? But then also the next, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Yeah. So this past week, just to kind of tie this all in, this past week at our campuses, we talked about sanctification, right? And we talked about sanctification being, we talked about this teaching meeting. I don't know if every campus did it or used it, but I did, is like sanctification affects our verbs, right? So the way we think and the way we act. So if we're being sanctified, then it's affecting the way that we think and the way that we act. And so those two questions are, how do you feel about it? How are you thinking about it? And then what are you going to act out? Like, what is that going to look like? The step you're going to take. Maybe. I don't know. You have the face that doesn't make sense. So I know everybody can't see that on the podcast, but you're looking at me like, wait, I don't know. So
honestly, no. Let me give you a little bit of backstory to this face. It's not that. Like, my son is sleeping or supposedly sleeping. And so I glance down at the monitor and he's no longer in his crib. And so I'm like, what's going on?
Uh-oh.
And like before this podcast, I'm like telling Ray I'm having these terrible dreams of like my child like getting hurt somehow, like falling out of a crib or like, you know, whatever else. And I was like, what happened? So I'm assuming that Cody got him out of the crib because he was awake. And then all of a sudden I hear a cry. And so that face was me trying to figure out, where's my son? Is he in the crib? Is he upstairs?
Is Cody home? I think that's the question. Cody is home?
He is.
Okay.
He is home.
That helps.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
All right.
was just me trying to figure out where my son is and what is going on.
Okay. So I will ask this question. You or Cody posted a picture on Facebook of him, like, and somebody said we have an escape artist. So has he been escaping? Has he been jumping out?
Not yet. So that
okay.
Maybe
he figured it out today.
No. And here's why. We lowered the crib mattress all the way to the bottom.
Gotcha.
So he's not able to.
Yes.
So that was another reason I was like, well, there's no way he could have gotten out of the crib.
All right. Unless he's a future ninja warrior.
No.
Just saying.
He's probably going to be.
Yep.
From that picture, you can probably tell. Like, he's going to be giving me a run for my money. I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Get a trampoline, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Oh my.
All right. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. So 18 and 19 were all about your faith, right? Your faith in the moment.
Yes.
And then number 20, I think it's a good one to ask. Yep.
Where do you see God moving in all of this?
Yeah.
Which isn't that kind of a experiencing God?
That is experiencing God language.
Question, terminology.
Yeah. Where are you seeing God move, and how can you join Him in it? Woo.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good.
Jump in there. Enjoy it. Do what the Lord's asking you to do.
So this list has been pretty helpful. There are quite a few. I mean, there are quite a few that kind of felt like they doubled up, but you still have a good list of things that will drive deeper conversation in your group or with whoever you're talking to.
Right. I think number 11 was the one we said we're going to tattoo, right? Where does this lead if nothing changes? Is that the one?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a solid one. I'll say this. I'll put all these questions in the show notes. So if you're like, you listen to the podcast and you're not 100% sure what all the questions were, we'll have them in the show notes for you, so you can check those out. And I would encourage you to use these things in your group to, again, take your conversation to the next level, deeper level, all that fun stuff. Yeah.
That's where growth will come. Like, you dig deeper. I mean, we even went through this. We did a learning circle, and, what I thought was more, I was trying to give more surfacey. Well, we were trying to do like an example learning circle of what a learning circle that I had kind of walked myself through.
Yep.
And then Shyla's just really good at her job, and she was, asking a lot of questions that dug much deeper. And I was like, oh, I'm not ready for this.
There you go.
But like, it shifted kind of the root of it.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
And you have to know the root before you can change anything, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. Or you can, pull the top off the weed and the root's still there and it comes back.
Yeah.
It's gardening language.
Yeah, I'm not for it. I'm not a gardener.
So Abby and I were working in the yard this past weekend, and I had that thought multiple times when I'm trying to pull out the weeds and the root would stay. I'm like, we're going to be right back here again. We're going to be pulling this out again because it's not dead. It's not done. It's not out. But
so how do you get it out? You have to dig it?
You got to use a shovel. Yeah, got to get down in there. Got to ask the 5 questions. Get down to the root, the deep why. So
nice.
That's right. Well, hopefully, again, these questions have been helpful for you, and we'll offer some, again, starting points for you if you don't feel comfortable in what questions to ask. I think great questions lead to great answers, obviously, and so maybe that'll be helpful for some folks there.
Well, thanks for tagging along with us as we kind of made our own way through this list and, process some of them out loud as we were going through it. But like Ray said, like, hopefully you guys at least got a few questions that, really hit you that you will use.
That's right. Yep. And again, I think they're great starting points, and you gotta ask. You gotta ask questions to get answers.
And if you have questions, or like not questions for us, but if you have questions that you ask people that work in your group, that are different than these, we would love to hear them.
Yes.
Love to practice those.
That's right. So send those to d3info@newcitychurch.com. We would love to have them, and we might even share them on your own podcast. So,
listen, I know there are a lot of experienced D3 leaders out there.
Yep.
I want to know your tips and tricks, so send me what you know.
That's right. Yeah. What are some great questions that open up more conversation? Boom, boom.
Yep.
Nice. I like it.
Can't wait.
Yep. Well, with that, we will see you next time on the D3 Discipleship Podcast.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope that today's information was helpful and useful for your discipling journey. We would like to encourage you to subscribe, review, and share on social media. If you would like more information, check out d3pathway.com.